Competitive pistol shooting is always talked about as being a sport that is primarily for the participants, but what if all that was missing was proper commentary? Well, let's find out. I'm going to take some liberty with the score as if only these two gentlemen, Brian and Marcelo, were shooting the match, but let's see if this becomes watchable. The 2025 North Texas Freedom Cup is a hit factor match similar to USPSA that took place in Whitewright, Texas, with 150 plus competitors raising money for our rescue, using air-conditioned bathrooms, eating delicious tacos, trying to win a Kimber 2K11, and trying to annihilate their buddies for the ultimate bragging rights. Today we are following the story of two competitors competing head-to-head in limited optics A-class. Brian, who's a left-handed ginger from Austin, Texas, who enjoys applying sunscreen, shoots a 2011 because he got tired of being made fun of for shooting Glocks.
Because I got sick of people making fun of me for shooting Glocks all the time.
And in Mario Kart would be the equivalent of Donkey Kong.
Donkey Kong? Really?
Competing with Brian is Marcelo of Team Ghost, also known as the CZ Armor. Marcelo hails originally from the rainforests of Brazil, is an Android phone enjoyer, and shoots a CZ Tactical Sports 2 pistol because they're good and they don't cost very much, and would be the Mario Kart equivalent of Toad.
I'm not Toad.
Conditions for day one of the match were overcast with moderate wind and loads of humidity from rains earlier in the week. A match like this can turn into an endurance contest favoring competitors in better physical condition. As it gets hot and sweaty, focus drops, and that's when the mistakes happen. Stage 1, presented by the Gentleman Gunner, is a 28-round, 140-point Comstock stage, meaning the competitors can shoot as much as they want, but only their best 2 hits will be scored, consisting of 4 steel targets and 12 IPSC paper targets. Marcelo steps up to go first. And immediately in the first position, he has 2 extra shots. Those help his score, but will for sure hurt his time. Oh, in the last, Marcelo misses his position and has to go to war with the popper, costing him major time. Marcelo's stage time was 19:58 with a total of 22 alphas, 5 charlies, and 1 delta, which is a hit factor of 6.4351, leaving the door open for Brian. If Brian can manage a clean run without many makeups, he could win the stage. Immediately, Brian's trigger speed is quicker than Marcelo's, and so far is in control. There's a costly makeup on steel, gets a little bit lost in the transition, but manages an 1871 raw time, so about 8/10 quicker than Marcelo. But the checker flag syndrome got him. He pulled off the target early and had a miss on paper, and that's costly to the score. His hits were 21 alpha, 6 charlie, and 1 mike. The penalty dropping his score to 6.0396, so after the standings for one stage, Brian is about 8.5 match points down to Marcelo. Stage 2 is a unique one with effectively 3 shooting positions and 3 shots per target required, so it is a 27-round, 135-point Comstock stage, presented by Lock Grips. You can save 10% at Lock with code HUMBLE. The fact that each one of the targets has to be engaged with 3 shots means competitors are going to have to respect the targets. If you pull off early and drop points, it's going to drag your score down. And on top of that, most of the targets are about 15 to 20 yards away, so fundamentals are going to be critically important. Again, Marcelo is going to be first up. A couple makeup shots out of the first position, but alphas are going to be critical on this stage. Overall, it looks like it's going to be a pretty tidy run, and it is. 21 alphas of a possible 27 in 23.45 seconds. Let's see if Brian can equalize, making up ground from the last stage. I have to wonder if his trigger finger speed is more of a liability on a stage like this than it is an asset. Already, Brian is taking a more dynamic plan, shooting on the move, and so far the trigger speed isn't too wild. He's got excellent control in the corner. And Brian's time is actually 3/10 up on Marcelo at the end of the stage, but his alpha count is notably less with only 15 alphas. There's a significant gap opening up on the overall with Brian dropping 15 match points on that stage. Brian is going to have a job to do to catch up. Stage 3 is a 125-point Comstock stage, but this is the first stage in the match with props and movers presented by My Own Defender. At the first position, the competitor must open the door, which triggers an activated moving target called a swinger that's available about halfway through the stage. And the wind has started gusting as well, which may affect how the swinger moves. Brian gets a big advantage on this stage as Marcelo is the first shooter and no one knows what the timing on the swinger is going to be. Right off the draw, Marcelo decided to be static in the first position. That's going to give him up valuable time. He could have been moving and shooting. In doing a bit of pioneering, Marcelo has to figure out the timing on the swinger, and sure enough, he has a price to pay. But disaster struck as Marcelo did hit a no-shoot, and that's a 10-point penalty to his score. He had a good alpha count otherwise with 21 alphas and 4 charlies, but his hit factor is only 5.0353. Brian's definitely going to be the beneficiary of Marcelo having to figure the stage out for his squad. So off the draw, Brian is slightly in motion, not really capitalizing on that first position and movement. The middle position goes textbook. He's able to time the swinger perfectly and get it in one exposure. And a very strong finish in the last position. As a result, the time is a sporty 18:26, nearly 3 full seconds faster than Marcelo. But the scores coming in, the points are terrible with only 10 alphas, 12 charlies, and 3 deltas. Those 3 deltas are leaving a cumulative 12 points on the table. While not technically misses, they are effectively the same as a no-shoot penalty. With those 8 additional charlies, that's leaving 16 more points on the table, the equivalent of a no-shoot and a half. Brian was able to stay closer to Marcelo with a 4.874 hit factor, but he still concedes another 4 match points. 9 stages remaining in the match, Brian has got a hill to climb. So this was kind of an impromptu project. I mean, I shot this match, I had my cameras, I was like, what if I did voiceover commentary? Could it become more watchable? So I'm curious if you're somebody who doesn't compete, would something like this with more commentary, more insight into what's actually happening be more interesting to you than just raw match footage, which is what basically everybody throws up? Now, there is some stuff that, I mean, would make it even more watchable if there was real-time scoring with telemetry coming up as the competitor shooting it. That'd be pretty tough to do. In the context of the match, I couldn't get the points off of all of the targets with how they were being scored and reset so quickly, so I couldn't even edit it in. To me, this format of match footage could be very interesting. It obviously couldn't be broadcast live. It'd have to be kind of edited and curated unless we spent an absolute fortune on remote cameras and switchers and producers and things like that. Not realistic to probably do in the dirt pits where we hold these matches. So let me know your thoughts, thinking about doing IDPA Nationals and betting with the closest thing to a super squad and kind of providing match coverage in a similar way. If that's of interest to you, let me know. But check out 2026 Freedom Cup, guys. 2025 was excellent with a restroom trailer, great tacos. The OMG tacos are fantastic, and they were there both days. All the stages were made by GM shooters, and as a result, the stages were very interesting with a lot of little nuance put into them, which made them very interesting to solve. And honestly, the heat wasn't that bad. So Freedom Cup 2026, it kind of has Dragon Cup 1.0 vibes. You should check that one out.